Ange. Nice to see you.
You too, man.
We're at the City Ground, but you're finally gearing up for a home game.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to it. As I said, obviously, since I took over, I've had 4 away games, so which is tough because we saw even the other night in Spain, just when home crowd gets behind its team, what a difference it can make. So I'm sure the players are looking forward to it, and as it's my first one, I'm certainly looking forward to it.
How much, given the run of form you're on, do you need sort of a home game at the moment and feel that little bit of a love from the crowd?
Yeah, I don't think it's about our run of form. I just think even the crowd themselves, they want to, when you've seen your team play 4 away games, it doesn't happen often. I'm sure they're excited by just seeing their team play at home as well. So irrespective of kind of form or anything else, I think there should be a real good buzz at the stadium tomorrow night.
What's your assessment of where you're at the moment? Obviously, you still haven't had too long with the team. We're seeing signs of sort of the team playing well, and at the same time, the results haven't been what you wanted. So, just what is your assessment?
Yeah, pretty much that. I think we're definitely making progress. I think our football's certainly, gradually getting to the place where we want, and the results haven't been what we wanted, but that's not because of lack of performance. So I think for me that's the most important thing. I think if we weren't playing, or we weren't sort of developing our football, then the results would be more of a concern from that perspective. But there's certainly enough for me in what I've seen, in the games I've been in charge, to show me that the players are really responding, and we're definitely heading in the right direction.
Every manager wants selection headaches, I suppose, but how difficult is it picking your starting striker at the moment, considering you've got one striker that's been in great form for the last 2 years and one who's started his Forest career really well?
It's easy, mate, because I've got a choice. It's when you've got no strikers that you struggle. I think Igor's done awfully well, and it's a credit to him, because I think not just, we've seen it here at our club, but, at other clubs, when players come from foreign leagues, it always takes a period of adjustment, irrespective of the calibre of the player. But he's made an impact almost from the first day he's been here, and he did really well for us the other night. But like I said, Chris is our standing striker. He's had, last year was incredible. His goal return and the way he puts himself about, and it's great sort of for us to have that choice of striker. And whichever way I go tomorrow, I'll be more than comfortable. They'll be able to do the job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Damien, PLP.
Hi there. Can you give us an update on the fitness of Murillo, and also Douglas Lewis came off at half-time?
Yeah, Murillo is still kind of not where we want him to be. He's still not totally comfortable. He's still doing the individual training, and we were hoping it would progress a bit quicker. But, it's obviously it was a pretty severe knock on his sort of thigh, and there was my understanding was the healing process there has just been slower than what we thought, and he doesn't just feel comfortable. So we've just got to be patient with him. But he is out on the grass. He is kind of working individually. It's just about incorporating him back into the team. Dougie wasn't great yesterday either, so we've sent him for a scan on his hamstring. He won't be available this weekend. And again with him, I think we just got to be really careful how we sort of use him at the early part of the year. He obviously had a lot of issues last year at Juventus, and came in late here. So, I think we'll just be cautious. We'll see what the scans say, but he definitely won't be available this week. We'll see what the scans say. After that, it's nothing serious. We know that it's not significant, but I think with the international window around the corner, I think there might be an opportunity for us to really build him up, because he's such a good player, and you saw that the other night. He doesn't feel like he's at peak physical fitness, and it might be a good little window for us, particularly in the international break, to build him up to where we need him to be. Everyone else as is, no other issues.
How much is fatigue a factor? Because the conditions out there were pretty punishing and emotionally draining, as well as physical kind of night. How have they scrubbed up?
Yeah, you're right, but that's going to be a constant. That's the one thing I know about European football. It will challenge you, and like I said, sometimes it's not just the opposition, but the conditions. And certainly the conditions the other night were, they had quite of an impact on the lads. We didn't get back till early hours of Thursday morning as well. But they had a good day of recovery yesterday, and the whole group trained today, and I think the majority have bounced back pretty well, certainly from a physical standpoint, and from a mental standpoint, well, that's kind of the challenge now, is that we need to be able to park whatever emotions we had from the other night and turn our focus fully into what's going to be a tough game tomorrow.
You spoke about Igor Jesus. Is he a pleasant surprise to you? Did you know much about him before you arrived here?
Yeah, no, I knew plenty about him. Obviously, me working in Asia too, I remember when he went to the UAE, and there's quite a few Brazilians who went through there, and at the time I was working in Asia, so you always kind of look at the impact foreigners have in Asian leagues, and he made an impact there, and then obviously in the off season he was brilliant with Botafogo last year, and made an impact there. So when Forest signed him, I'd be interested to see. Like I said, I always think though that it takes a while for foreigners who haven't had any exposure to the Premier League to adjust to it. But since I've come in, just watching him at training and his mentality, I think the good thing is he has lived abroad now for a few years. He did leave Brazil. I know he went back there, and I think the adjustment of him, coming to another country isn't as big as maybe for other players who have left their home country for the first time. So I think that's helped him adjust quicker.
Thank you.
Thanks, Damien. Natalie, BBC.
Thank you. Hi, Ange. How was it for you, the whole Seville experience, and for the team? Because we was all chatting about it as a journalist, and you can make bonds for life on these kind of trips. The fans say that too, because you've got a lot of new players, and it's so intense of those players being able to. Are you seeing those kinds of bonds, and you seeing the team now creating a bit of spirit together all together? Yeah,
I think so, and it's one of the reasons we took the whole group, even the guys who kind of weren't eligible. Taiwo and Omari and Jair, and I thought it was important because I know what it's like when you go away, and yeah, certainly I think so, and also, playing the game and seeing it develop as it is, and knowing you've gone to a really difficult place and performed really well, and we didn't get the win, but you're still getting a positive result. I think that helps build belief for sure. Because the atmosphere was fantastic, 60,000 people making an awful lot of noise, and that's the kind of thing you need to kind of experience as a group. And if you can come through that experience positively, which I think we did, it does. It galvanises the group. It gives them, an experience that they've gone through together, and that certainly accelerates that sort of team spirit, camaraderie you need.
And what about the atmosphere here at the City Ground? I mean, you'll have tasted it when you was a Tottenham.
Yeah, it's not so pleasant when you're an opponent.
So what are you expecting
tomorrow?
How much looking forward to it?
I am looking forward to it because, like I said, it's playing away in football is always a challenging experience because it's the job of opposition supporters to make it as uncomfortable as possible for the visiting team. So to have some home comforts tomorrow of the people who support this football club and get behind the players, it's going to be great. And I think the players will enjoy it as well because, as I said, we've been on the road now for 4 games, and that galvanises you as a group. So when they walk out tomorrow night and they hear the sort of noise that's going to be supportive of them, I think it'll help them, put on a good performance.
Even though you haven't got your first win, there's been positives at Swansea and Burnley, and particularly the first half the other night. Is that important to you? Because the fans that we were speaking to in Seville were saying, actually, we like what we've seen, and largely people were supportive of that. Is that important for you, and how much do you want to bond with those fans?
Yeah, it's important, not necessarily for me, but it's just important for what we're trying to embark on. I think, there's 2 ways you can win the faith and sort of trust of supporters and people at the club, and that is to win games of football. That's pretty easy. That's an instant. But if you're not doing that, then there needs to be something that looks like it's encouraging, or it's something that looks like it's heading in a certain direction. And I think there's been plenty of evidence. I mean, look, obviously the Arsenal game was a real challenging one. It would be anyway. But since then, I think in the Swansea game, the Burnley game, and certainly on Wednesday night, some of the football we played was really compelling in its appearance, because it's kind of what we're working on, what we're talking about. So when you see that in such a sort of short turnaround that we've had coming in, it's definitely encouraging for us. But I'm sure that the supporters see that, and I think within that they're also seeing growth in the players as well. Whether it's Igor or I think there are others. I mean, Elliott's growing all the time. Our two centre backs, I think, are showing some real personality at the moment. The two full backs, who are asked to play a little bit differently, are all adjusting. And I think, when people see that, as much as they'd love the team to be winning at the moment, it does give them that encouragement. And I know if we continue down this road, that the results, the wins will come, hopefully starting tomorrow, and that just sort of solidifies everything.